An inspiring story of strength and courage. A 10-month-old receives a heart transplant. His amazing story coming up.
Plus, we take you inside the operating room to learn more about a new procedure that has patients back on their feet in no time.
And it's time for March Madness. How far will your team go in the big dance? Our sports experts make their predictions.
We'll order some pizza. Finally, it's a feast fit for a king. Maybe that's at my place. 25 chefs from around the state rally to go for a good cause. It's all coming up next on NewsOK TV.
This is NewsOK TV.
This is NewsOK TV. Welcome to NewsOK TV, where NewsOK.com comes to your living room television. I'm Dave Morris.
And I'm Angi Bruss. After nearly 2.5 months, Kent Collins is about to take his first steps. Collins fell through a church awning while hanging Christmas lights back in December.
The Oklahoma City firefighter broke his pelvis, shattered his left elbow, wrist, arm, and injured his spine. And he's been in a wheelchair ever since that 20-foot fall. But he's working hard toward recovery.
Today was my last day of in-home therapy. He did what is, I guess it's called an exit survey, and he checked, if I can move from the chair to the wheelchair or from a regular chair to a wheelchair by myself. He makes sure I can get in and out of bed, and he even makes sure that, I can get in and out of the bathroom. And so it's, they want to make sure that I can take care of myself, even when nobody else is around. And so that's what he did today. And then next week, on the 4th, which will be 3 months to the day from my accident, I get to try to stand up again. I'll be going back into the Valor Hospital, and I'll be there for a week, maybe 10 days, and they're going to teach me how to walk again. I just want to go back to doing what I did, going back to my life, going back to dragging hose, getting on roofs, cutting, and helping people any way I can, and I don't want to be limited at all, whether physically or emotionally, from doing that. So my plan is to go back and be exactly the fireman I was. So, and I think I will be. Actually, I know I will be. Give me a kiss. Mwah! I love you, buddy.
Collins spent 4 days a week doing intense exercises. He says learning to walk is going to be the most painful part. It will take up to 10 days at the rehabilitation center.
I can't imagine starting all over. Well, now to another amazing story of recovery. By now, you've got to be familiar with the Skaggs family. They were chosen to be on Extreme Makeover Home Edition. The family was chosen because of their youngest son's health. At a very young age, Jet Skaggs had a heart transplant. Jet and his mom were in our studios to share their remarkable story. You hear so much about heart disease, heart attacks, and bypass surgeries, but you never imagine it to be something that hits your own family, let alone your 9-month-old son. This happened to a family right here in Oklahoma, a family with quite a story to share, who were recently chosen for Extreme Makeover Home Edition. Meet Audra Skaggs and her son Jet.
When Jet was first born, he was only like a few minutes old. He actually quit breathing while I was nursing him. When he was 2 weeks old, he stopped breathing again, and we rushed him to the hospital, and by the time we got there, he was alert and acting like nothing was going on. The morning before he was to see his gastroenterologist, he stopped breathing. And I was getting ready for work and getting ready to take both Jed and my daughter to the babysitter. I sat him down in the floor just thinking, he was screaming, maybe he'd calm himself down, and then he just stopped. Just complete silence. And I was in the kitchen and I ran back in, and by that time my husband was in the floor giving him CPR. And he picked him up and put him on the sofa, and I called 911, and my husband, it seemed like forever, was trying to get him to breathe, giving him CPR, and I was just, on the phone panicking, telling the ambulance, just hurry, hurry. And it was about 2 days after that, I was at home with the kids by myself, and I had hooked him up to the heart monitor and laid him down for a nap. Went and grabbed the telephone and came back, and while I was dialing 911 and talking to the dispatcher, I was giving him CPR. And I was praying because I'd never given CPR on anyone before. And I had been trained because I'm a teacher. Just as soon as the ambulance pulled in, he started crying. And this time the ambulance it's a small town. They knew who we were, and they already had called a helicopter to have him meta-flighted. So we took him to town, and they meta-flighted him to Children's Hospital in Oklahoma City. Ended up staying there 2 weeks because he began to go into what they call a VTAC, where your heart rate gets really, really, really high, and then you go into basically cardiac arrest. And he arrested several times just in the ICU, and that's when they came in and told us that he had actually been in heart failure since he was born. And because he was becoming more active and older, his heart couldn't keep up. So he was going to have a transplant. I remember asking him to tell me again, because the entire time, basically for 10 months, I'm shoving this medicine down my kid's throat because I think he has gas and I think he has stomach problems. And then you're telling me now he has to have a new heart. And just the thought of that surgery was just, mind-boggling to me. The nurse, she asked me if I was sitting down, and I said yes. And she said, well, we have a heart for Jet. And I think I actually exhaled probably at that time, the first time I had in probably about 2 weeks. And I went back upstairs to see him again, and everybody was in the hallway, and they were, so excited, But at the same time, I remember thinking, someone else, wasn't as happy probably as I was, but just for some complete stranger to make that choice to give, my child a second chance at life was more than I can ever say thank you for. When you have a child that has a heart disease, it's amazing how many other kids are out there that you just kind of become more aware of. Heart disease is more common than you think it is. When you have a child that, every birthday counts for something much more than just an age, you kind of look at it differently, and you just, praise God every day for the days that you have with them. I am thankful that Jet has had a second chance. If it were not for the research and scientific discoveries through the American Heart Association and the grace of God, Jet's story may have turned out differently.
And you can learn more about the Skaggs family and see their new home later this month. The episode of Extreme Makeover Home Edition will air March 14th at 7 p.m. on ABC. And of course, we were there 4 different times, so we have some great behind-the-scenes videos.
Be great to check it out once it finally airs as well.
I know it.
The before and the after.
Yes.
All right, moving on. They can be unsightly and painful, but they can also signal serious circulatory problems. Varicose veins. Veins become twisted and enlarged, and they're most commonly found in the legs and feet. For many people, they're a cosmetic concern, but for others, they can become a serious problem that can require surgery. For patients who need surgery, there is new technology that makes the recovery time faster. Surgeons use radiofrequency heat to treat the affected vein. The procedure doesn't take very long. Patients are back on their feet that same day.
I don't think we've ever treated a person for more than 6 minutes. It takes us about an hour and 20 minutes to get the whole thing done, but that's because there's a lot of stuff that goes on before and after. But the catheter energy itself is less than 6 minutes.
According to doctors, this procedure is preferable to laser treatment because generally there is less recurrence.
Now, coming up, a serious brainstorming session. Creative minds come together to develop a new business in just 48 hours.
Hello, this is Mary. I can help you.
Hi, my grandma wants to know how to record my show.
Press the guide button on the remote.
Abuelita, toca el botón guide.
Now find your show on the screen and press record.
Ahora busca el programa en la
Pantalla.
Working hard for every smile. Another reason why Cox is your friend in the digital age.
NewsOK has a new mobile website, and it works with any internet-enabled cell phone. So you can take NewsOK with you anywhere. View the full articles, look at the photos, all while munching on lunch. And something I'm interested in, videos. Now you can watch NewsOK videos no matter where you roam. Smartphones, choose NewsOK Mobile.
Updated look, easy navigation, videos, NewsOK Mobile. Dial into NewsOK's award-winning content, now on your web-enabled cell phone. NewsOK, Oklahoma's website.
Well, thanks for staying with NewsOK TV. We have a lot of talented and creative people here in the Sooner State. He's one of them. From performers to artists to architects, one organization has made it a point to spotlight some of the most innovative minds in our state.
It's Creative Oklahoma, and they recognize the need for creativity to succeed economically and socially. The group desires to establish Oklahoma as a creative center. Well, together with Creative Oklahoma, we spoke to some well-known Oklahomans about the importance of creativity. And recently, we sat down with composer Jared Tate.
The word creativity is again, it's difficult to explain because it's like, what does the word good mean? Or what does the word valuable mean? These are definitely very subjective words, but they're very functional in our daily lives. We say those words all the time. And so I think we can talk about creativity, but I don't know if I can actually exactly define it. But when I think of kind of, I guess, the necessity of creativity or the importance of creativity in our lives, it's almost like saying the importance of air or food or personal relationships. Creativity saturates everything that we do, and it doesn't matter what profession you're in. The fact is that everybody that engages creatively in whatever they do makes a very distinct mark in their lives and in other people's lives. My parents have brought wonderful things into who I am, and so I see my identity in composition as a mix between being a Chickasaw Indian and a classically trained musician. And so I focus personally on bringing my Indian identity into the classical fine arts. I also have a very, I would say, gregarious and dramatic personality, and that's how I approach life. It's how I think, it's how I feel. And ultimately, that's what comes out in my music is actually a high sense of drama. And I feel that in two different ways. One is that I do have a very romantic and a very deeply romantic sense of my Indian identity. To me, it feels very intense. It feels very romantic. It feels very historically strong. And so I feel that personally. And on top of that, both of my parents were involved in the theater. And so I grew up with a lot of theater exposure. I'm saturated in theater, and the ballets that I experienced as a kid were Rite of Spring and Petrushka and Romeo and Juliet, and I mean I saw this repertoire being set on students since I was a kid. So I think between those two elements of myself, that very much defines the kind of expression that comes out in my music. It's very forward and very dramatic. American Indian music varies greatly, just like music in general does. So if I would say, American music, well, there's so many styles and genres of American music. But really the most obvious thing about American Indian music is that it involves American Indians, and there's all kinds of ways in which American Indians express their identity and their feelings of being American Indian within their music. So there are different styles, but the consistent thing is that it's Indians that are involved in expressing who they are through music. I think for every state, embracing creativity is critical. It's absolutely critical. And every state has a very specific identity. This is one thing that's really, really cool about the United States is that centrism that exists in each state. We have state identity, and Oklahoma has its own specific identity as a state. And I personally see it as this cowboy and Indian state. But the creative element comes in how we embrace it, how we develop it, how we foster it, and then how we express that to the United States and the world abroad. So there are different individuals and different elements of this state that only come from here, and our creativity kicks in identifying that and feeding it and fostering it and solidifying it and making it more and more. This is who we are. So I believe that's what creativity does for any state and specifically for the state of Oklahoma.
And you can also watch videos with Rand Elliott and Bart Connor. I believe we also spoke with Graham Colton by heading to stateofcreativity.com.
Great. Now, speaking of innovative minds, a group of Oklahomans have been shaking up the business world. For 3 years, the group has come together to create a company in just one weekend. That's pretty amazing. Now, these meetings take place in other cities across the country as well. And I spoke with Adam Daney to learn more about Startup Weekend. Tell me what, I think a lot of people may just think Startup Weekend. What does that mean?
What Startup Weekend is it's 54 hours where entrepreneurs, people that are involved in startup companies, people that want to be involved in startup companies come together and take an idea and launch it into a business by the end of the weekend.
Wow, very nice, very nice. So who can be involved?
Anybody can be involved, whether they be someone that's a technical person or a designer, developer, marketing people, legal people, finance people, really anybody, whether they have an idea or not, that wants to be a part of something really neat.
And this is worldwide, but it's coming to Oklahoma City. When is it coming?
It's going to be here the first weekend in March 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Very nice. Is that the first time it's been to Oklahoma City?
The first time here in Oklahoma City. Tulsa had an event in November, and Dallas has had one, as well as New York City and San Francisco, and kind of the typical spots, but also around the world. And
very nice, very nice. So what happens in a typical weekend?
A typical weekend is really non-existent. Each city kind of develops their own format. What ours is going to look like is the doors are going to open at 5:30 on Friday night. People are going to get 60 seconds to pitch a business idea. They can pitch as many ideas as they want. That's going to start at 7. And once all the ideas have been pitched, then the group is going to decide on their favorite ideas and then form up into teams. And the next 54 hours is making that into a business. Wow. And they present their business to the group and investors and that kind of thing.
That's great.
Sunday night.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So they are creating a company.
It's the real deal. One of the mottos is no talk, all action. Nice. And that's where the unconference comes in.
Yeah, definitely. So then if they want to take it from there, they can actually create this company and it can be a real deal.
Absolutely. In the last several years, about over 300 companies have been formed through Startup Weekends. And about a third of those are still going on in some form or fashion right now.
That is fantastic. How cool. How much does it cost?
It costs $60, but we do have a discount. If somebody sees it from here, they can go onto our website and enter the promo code SWOKC for $20 off.
Very nice. Yeah. How cool. How cool. And tell us what your website was.
It's okcity.startupweekend.org.
There we go. Well, how cool. This sounds like a great concept, and especially for people who are interested. If they have an idea, this is the place to do it.
It really is. Whether you've done it 100 times or you've never done it at all, we've got a great group of people that are normally speakers at entrepreneur or business conferences that are going to be there as mentors working alongside our teams to help them execute their ideas. So it's going to be a great event. Now,
Des Moines and Portland are also hosting sessions starting on March 5th. The next round of unconferences begin in Seattle.
It's like the Uncola, I guess. All right, sports fans are putting on their jerseys and watching the rankings. March Madness has arrived.
Oh, yay.
And our basketball experts make their predictions about some of the local teams. It's coming up next on NewsOK TV.
I look up to you for all the things you do. I hope to be like you someday soon.
Working hard for every smile. Another reason why Cox is your friend in the digital age.
NewsOK, Oklahoma's website.
Dave, it is game time.
Angi, NewsOK is covering OU and OSU football from all the angles.
With photos, videos, live chats, blogs, and text alerts.
From coaches, players, predictions, and analysis.
With the most sports reporters covering the games.
So you'll never miss a thing.
Stay with NewsOK for your team's latest news.
Powered by the Oklahoman. NewsOK, Oklahoma's website.
Hello, this is Mary. I can help you.
Hi, my grandma wants to know how to record my show.
Press the guide button on the remote.
Abuelita, toca el botón guide.
Now find your show on the screen and press record.
Ahora busca el programa en la
pantalla.
Working hard for every smile. Another reason why Cox is your friend in the digital age.
Welcome back to NewsOK TV. Angie, it's March.
Yeah.
And for sports fans, it means only one thing. March Madness. And fans are ready to fill out their brackets and cheer on their teams and perhaps rock out.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. Here at home, OSU got a ticket to the big dance after defeating #1 ranked Kansas. How far will they go? The Oklahomans Barry Trammell and John Rohde made the predictions on Press Row.
I'm John Rohde with the Oklahoman, and don't be surprised if the Oklahoma State men make it to the Sweet 16.
I'm Barry Trammell, and with apologies to Travis Ford, there's no way this brand of Cowboys can make it to the second weekend of March Madness. Live from the Pubco Studios in Oklahoma City, this is Press Row, and John, wonderful season for the Cowboys. They played their way into the NCAA tournament. Great victory over top-ranked Kansas on Saturday, but I don't see any way this OSU team can make it 2 victories into the NCAA tournament. Last year, they came within a whisker. Beat Tennessee in the 8-9 game last year. Almost upset Pitt in what would have been a great, great victory. But this team is not as good. No Byron Eaton, no Terrell Harris. James Anderson is phenomenal, but these guys are really playing over their heads. If they get 1 victory in the NCAA tournament, I think it's a phenomenal year.
Well, you know, usually you're only as good as you shoot, and these Cowboys are shooting lights out. If they can somehow pretend they're in Gallagher-Iba Arena for that first round of the NCAA tournament in the second round, Barry, they can go anywhere. They had 3 guys go a combined 17 for 18 against the #1 team in the land. It was ridiculous, the shooting expedition they put on.
Well, now, Kansas is a big-time defensive team, no doubt about it. But it looked like Kansas defense was a little deficient on Saturday. It's one thing if Keaton Page is draining three-pointers in rhythm, but when you let Marshall Moses and Matt Pilgrim dunk all day, that's, to me, is a defensive problem.
You're right. The biggest hole on this team, no doubt about it, Barry, is Byron Eaton, who was really playing well at the end of it last year. They have played point guard by committee. If the Cowboys can just do that for 2 rounds, I see them going to the Sweet 16.
I just don't know if you can do that in the NCAA tournament. We look back at last year, those 2 games against Tennessee and Pitt, 2 very good teams. Cowboys had to have Byron Eaton. Ball was in his hands 80% of the time. When the game's on the line, the ball's in his hands. OSU doesn't have that kind of player this year. I think point guard plays pivotal in March. Stay tuned for further coverage of OSU on NewsOK, as well as every day in the
And of course, we will be following all the tournament action here on NewsOK, starting with the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City. The tournament begins March 10th, and our sports crew will be hard at work bringing you all the best articles and highlights from the games.
It's a good time of year. Well, meanwhile, tournament play has already started for the local high school basketball teams. Tip-off began early in March for classes A and B.
What's the best game Thursday, first round?
I think you automatically have to look at Cheyenne versus Caddo. Cheyenne, a team that's only lost once, and Caddo as well. They got all the way through the regular season, got their first loss in the playoffs. 2 really talented offenses. Dane Thrash of Cheyenne, one of the leading scorers in the state, especially in Class A, at nearly 26 points a game. So you look at that right away, and that could be some big time excitement on Thursday.
Catch all the highlights from those games, of course, on NewsOK.com.
Now, still to come, 25 chefs and 75 dishes. Some culinary wizards cook up something special for a local organization. Next on NewsOK TV.
NewsOK, Oklahoma's website.
Dave, it is game time.
Angie, NewsOK is covering OU and OSU football from all the angles.
With photos, videos, live chats, blogs, and text alerts.
From coaches, players, predictions, and analysis.
With the most sports reporters covering the games.
So you'll never miss a thing.
Stay with NewsOK for your team's latest news.
Powered by the Oklahoman. NewsOK, Oklahoma's website.
I look up to you for all the things you do. I hope to be like you someday soon. 'Cause I look
Working hard for every smile. Another reason why Cox is your friend in the digital age.
Welcome to the big leagues of high school sports. Varsity, NewsOK's new high school sports page, featuring the best high school sports coverage anywhere. Varsity dedicates experienced reporters to all the local schools from Edmond to Norman, and everyone and anyone from Goodwill to Idabel. And Varsity allows you to join the coverage. Upload your photos, join the discussion with the Oklahoma's reporters on their blogs, and follow the Twitter feed and live scoreboards. NewsOK's new high school sports page, Varsity, the best high school sports coverage anywhere.
NewsOK, Oklahoma's website.
Well, thanks for staying with us here on NewsOK TV. Pots were boiling, pans were heating up, and kitchens were abuzz, all for the benefit of a local charity.
The annual Chef's Feast that took place earlier in March, more than 25 chefs used their recipes and culinary talents to help out the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma. The Oklahoman's food editor, Food Dude Dave Cathy, got to sample some of the treats that were served at the gala.
I'm Dave Cathy, the Food Dude, and I'm here with Rodney Bivens and Christine Dowd, and we're here to talk about Chef's Feast. Big deal. And while we're talking, Chef Christine Dowd is working on what exactly?
I am preparing one of the items that we're going to be making at the Chef's Feast, and this is a braised pork cheek ravioli with a wild mushroom duxelle, little Telaggio cheese, just a little bit of a salad to make it have a little bit of texture to it. You going to try it?
I think I'll try some of that. I don't
Excellent.
know. It's a good idea. That looks great. Now, Rodney, tell me about Chef's Feast. We know there's going to be a lot of great food there, but what's this all about?
Oh, it's going to be a tremendous event again this year. It's our 23rd year, sponsored by Chesapeake Energy. We're going to have 25 of the finest chefs and restaurants in town presenting their food, and it's all for great cause. Regional Food Bank's Food for Kids backpack program.
So tell me a little bit about that program.
Well, it started almost 7 years ago, and we got a call from a local school principal saying they had a child that passed out on Monday morning. They discovered the child had nothing to eat all weekend but a hot dog with no bun. And so we started a program in response to that, serving first year about 180 chronically hungry children in 5 elementary schools. We finished up this last school year serving over 7,700 children, chronically hungry children, in 263 elementary schools in 38 counties. And so all the proceeds from the Chef's Feast help support the Food for Kids program.
Look what we've got over here.
I'm making stuff for both of you, and I have
Wow.
some spoons. I don't know if you're ready yet.
Yeah, let's talk about this stuff. And so tell me what we got going here. Now, we know what we got to
Yep, we have that. And then this is kind of just a little bit of a twist. You know, we're an Italian restaurant downtown, so this is a chocolate tortelloni with a white chocolate zuppa. And then inside the tortelloni is a chocolate fudge, like a no egg fudge kind of in there. So it has a little bit of a coffee flavor, so it gives you that double bang, double wang for you.
Oh, that's so good. I can promise you. This is fantastic. Really good.
And I just can't thank the chefs enough. It's the 23rd year, and they really, really go to extraordinary efforts to put on a great event. And we hear from all the patrons constantly. It's the best food in town, constantly, year after year.
And the theme is food fight at the OK Corral, and
right.
I think this year there'll be some guys fighting for some fun.
That's right. So put on your cowboy boots, your hat, and your jeans, and come on out, folks.
Last year's event raised $93,000, enough to feed 372 Oklahoma children.
That is great. What a great cause.
Absolutely. All right, well, that's all the time we have for this week, but you can watch all of these videos and plenty more online at newsok.com.
And we'll be back next week with a fresh video lineup. See ya.